So I wrote down
Hmm.
the 7-point weekly evaluation.
Okay.
Um, so
You want to talk about
how
that?
do you, in like a couple minutes, so like I was thinking about if we were, to chop this part off for
Okay.
social media.
All right.
So the 7-point weekly evaluation, how would you tailor that for someone that's in middle school or high school? That, I mean, it sounds like I could definitely use it
Hmm.
for them, but
Hmm.
I think the thing is getting them started early on doing that 7-point evaluation so
Hmm.
that by the time they get to college, they already know how to do that. And it's kind of rote memory, that
Right.
it's already ingrained in them. So what are your thoughts? How do you get it to how do you help a middle school and high school person
So,
pull that?
so I'm gonna put it on the screen so we can look at it. I can make sure right. So there's our 7-point Be Great weekly evaluation.
Mhm.
And just so I'm gonna restate what I think I heard you say so that I don't mess up what you asked me. So you want to know how do we take this and make it usable for middle
Middle,
school or
yeah.
elementary, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So there are 7 things that so I'll start with this. There were 7 things that I asked Naeem to do each week. We'll talk. We mentioned about the 20 things each day, and we mentioned the 3 or 4 things, and we can cover those at a different time because you said let's go over these quickly. So let's go over these real quick. So the first thing, no matter what age you are, the first one was review dreamers. Let me see if I can get this thing to move. Move, page, move. All right, cool. So review dreamers. So what I asked him to do was to recognize that there are other people who came before him who had dreams of doing great things.
Okay.
And the unfortunate thing we typically do when we tell people look at so and so, we never ask them to look at the whole person. We only ask them to look at the person at the end, at their outcome.
Who
So
they became.
reviewing dreamers, I'd say like find people who you're interested in replicating. So let's use let's just say Venus and Serena for tennis. If we just look at Venus and Serena as tennis as Wimbledon champions, then we miss the journey of Venus and Serena. So I'd ask him to go back and find out as much as you could about Venus and Serena's childhood and Venus and Serena at the point in time you are in your life. And because what you'll typically find is they had the same struggles as you had. They may have had more challenges than you had. And so then and then I gave them a questionnaire. Each time I would give them a questionnaire of things to consider. So to me, this is applicable no matter what age, right, a child is, or an adult for that matter. Like you and I are starting something, and if we only look at, if I was to compare myself, I don't know, with Tony Robbins, who
Hmm.
Tony Robbins is today. Well, I'm not Tony Robbins today. I would quit. So in order not to quit, I just would want to go back and see, well, maybe I can find out where he started.
Hmm.
All right. The second one was talk to professors. Now, obviously, students don't, grade school kids don't have professors, they have teachers. But I would say talk to your teachers often. And I told him, you have to do it at least once a week. So probably a little bit different in school, but I would imagine many kids go to class, sit in class, and when the bell rings, they just leave. I'd say go talk to them. What do you want to go talk to them about? You want to review whatever material you learned throughout the week. You want to preview the material for the upcoming week. You'd want to, if they offer study groups, you want to make sure you attend all the study group. You want to share your plans, and plans being the plans for your life. You want your teachers to know that you want to do something big with your life, and you want them to know because they are probably going to be people at some point in time that could and maybe should be a reference for you. And then you just want to bug them to death. In other words, you want to be around so often that people get to be familiar with you, recognize you, value you as something more than just a student in the class.
That's good. That's
All
good.
right. And you can stop me obviously at any point. So I would tell them also the third thing I say, hey, most schools, most classes have study groups, and students don't often take advantage of study groups. And again, at the elementary, middle school, high school level, I don't know if they have study groups. They might, But if they don't, it may be an opportunity to start a study group, right? So if you have some friends and y'all in the class and you all are trying to make sure you understand the material, maybe you all study together in a group. The value of that is that when you study in a group, you get a chance to teach each other, you get the chance to learn from each other. You typically learn more than you learn just by yourself, assuming, of course, that the group of people you studying with are serious about study.
Right. You have to actually study in your study group.
You have to study. And then, of course, that was the part that we talked a little bit about last week, which was to review like a professor. And that's just simply put, don't look at yourself as a student who's just responsible for learning one element. If I'm taking, I don't know, I'm an accounting major. I was an accounting major. So if I'm taking intro to accounting, and in intro accounting, we learn about debits. Well, I probably should know about debits and credits. I probably should know, right? So don't just learn about debits, learn about credits, because debits and credits go together. So review like a professor, as opposed to just learning whatever is sufficient to pass the test. Because that's what so many people do. We just prepare to pass the test, and that's not going to lead you where you need to go. 5, I'd say create flashcards. Now this comes off of the ideal, and it's not in here, but this is something he would do every day. This comes off of taking notes using the Cornell note-taking system. And we can talk more about that at another time. But suffice to say, an easy way to study is to create flashcards so that you can test yourself. You can, when you're in a class, you're going to take notes thinking about what the teacher's teaching in the terms of a question, and the answers to the question are on the back of the flashcard. So again, using the analogy as an accounting major, I might say, what are debit? What is a debit? And then the back would be the answer. Mm-hmm. When do you make a debit entry? And the answer would be on the back, right? So as a way, then you can just use the flashcards and walk around and do any number of things at the same time while studying. All right. Number 6 was to keep a diary. And that's him to keep a diary so he could keep track of what worked and what wasn't working. Also as a way to affirm what he wanted in his life. So in his diary, he would write who he wanted to be when the semester ended. The kind of like, I am a straight A student. I have a 4.0 GPA. I have mastered the material this semester, etc. And then he might also note the things that worked on a particular day or the things that didn't work. You might even note what you ate, or, I had a headache today, and then you look and notice, well, I didn't hardly drink any water today. Right? So, but you keep a record of what was occurring, because too often we don't know what's working because we don't have a record of what we did or what didn't work. So that was it. And then last but not least, number 7 is that we created a weekly schedule that we were not allowed to deviate from. So just like athletes, which when it comes to studying, students of all ages tend to study whenever they want to study, whenever it fits in their schedule. However, if it's an athletic program, if it's cheerleading, if it's volleyball, if it's basketball, if it's football, if it's track and field, you got a time. Practice is at 3 o'clock, it goes to 5. Practice is at 6 a.m., it goes to 8. You can't tell the coach that I'll be there at 7:30. I'm gonna practice from 7:30 to 9:30. No. Practice at 6 to 8. Either you here or you're not on the team. And so that's the way we would do with the weekly schedule. Try not to make it flexible. Each week you have a series of things you would study. We would study for no class for any more than 90 minutes without taking a complete break. We talked a little bit about brain breaks the last time, but age +3 up to 20. But yeah, every day there would be a schedule, and again, we'll talk about this more later because these are daily activities. But we would study the more difficult, mentally taxing things first while your brain is freshest, and do the other things later, and or take a nap. And we could talk about that as well. So those are the seven things he would do each week. And I think that's it. And then every week we would score how you did.
Okay.
Yep. So, did I do,
You
did I,
really,
right,
did all 7 things,
right.
or yeah.
Did I meet with did I meet with my teacher? Did I take advantage of the study group? Did I, did I do, right, all those things we would measure each week. And
Sounds good.
what we found is when he did what he was supposed to do each day at a 90% or better rate, you would see a grade that was 90% or better. If you didn't do what you were supposed to do, right? And I just can't reiterate enough how important it is for students to get to know the people who are actually teaching them. So that's that. I'm gonna stop my screen. Is that cool?
Yep, that's
Right.
good.
Right.
No, I'm definitely gonna show this to Evan and Nadia, and just start drilling into them. Like, hey, your study habits, your habits just in general, start now.
Yeah.
We're
Gotta be
on
on
it
par.
now. It will be so much easier, as you go into middle school, as you go into high school. So yeah, this will be good.
I want to leave you with a humorous story.
Of
So
course.
it's about it's about study habits. So how old was Naeem? Robin, I'm gonna say 5 or 6. 5 or 6. So Fridays would come, like today, and I would come home from school, and he was playing soccer because that was his other big thing. So he kept playing soccer, and I would say, "All right, you're home. It's 3:30. It's 4 o'clock. Let's go outside and kick the soccer ball around." And Naeem one time I said this to me. He says, "No, Daddy." I said, "What do you mean no?" "No, Daddy. I'm gonna do my homework." I said, "Damn, man, it's Friday. It's Friday. You off. You got Saturday. You got Sunday." He says, "No, Daddy. If I do my homework now, then I have the full weekend to do whatever I want to." I was like, "Man, who are you?" He's like, but in retrospect, I forgot that I had encouraged him long ago before he started going to school, that one day when he was going to school, his education belonged to him. It did not belong to anybody else. And if he didn't take care of it, right, the more he took care of his education, the more his education would take care of him. And so, you repeat these things over and over and over and over. And then one day your child says to you what you've been telling them. And he's like, "No, man, I'm not going to play. I'm not playing first. I'm
I
getting
don't
my
have
work
time to
done first."
play.
Right. I work, then I play. That's the order. It's not play and work. It's work and then play. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, man. All right. Man. So yeah. So he had that piece, that habit established.
Early on.
Yeah, early on. Yes. Yeah. To my dismay at that point,
Yeah.
initially, like, "Come on, man, let's go kick the ball around. It's beautiful outside." No, Dad.
Nope, not playing yet. That's good.
Not yet. And so he still carries himself that way now. Yeah.
No,
So
no.
there you have it.
All right, cuz.
All right.